Chapter 2, Staff Exposure. During his career at Sanitas Est, Tommy had relied on agendas with short, to-the-point action items for Monday meetings, and then encouraged his direct reports to manage the expected deliverables. This style of leadership enabled senior staff members to focus on helping their supervisors in a kind of pay-it-forward approach within their teams. Bart had always been a fan of executive leaders grooming their direct reports to elevate their positions, so had encouraged his senior leadership team to work this way since the beginning. He believed this method cultivated strong leaders, offered security in case employees transition, and strengthened the company's overall leadership ability. Tommy's departments were also well organized with department policies, standard operating procedures, SOPs, and flowcharts to provide guidance to the teams and members and those who needed to know how the information would flow through, in, and out of his departments. He made sure his department's policies and procedures were designed to allow staff the freedom in accomplishing tasks while defining how they received information and passed it on. Mr. Mabee began by implementing changes to the personnel meetings, agendas, the goals, and making several recommendations to Tommy about how he should manage his staff, but then quickly transitioned to directing them himself. The changes Mr. Mabee imposed did not follow the methods the delivery team were accustomed to and were implemented rather abruptly, with no information to guide a smooth transition. It did not take long for interdepartmental skirmishes to develop and about who was responsible for accepting which tasks and when to pass them on to other departments. A steady stream of emails with a higher level of urgency than normal began flowing into Tommy's inbox almost immediately, asking for directions and pointing out concerns. Teams that had once relied on structured roles, responsibilities, and proven skill sets now found new gray lines of responsibility that required them to work deep into uncharted areas of their skills and desires. Quickly, the new plan was proving to be more of a melee than a planned action. At the second weekly meeting following the new delivery mandate, Tommy was trying to get through the agenda with Denise, a longtime member of his team, spoke up. She asked why they were rushing to go over so much information in one meeting and expressed how she and the others had liked the daily stand-ups where they could openly discuss items. Michael, another longtime member of the team and good friend of both Tommy and Denise, was no stranger to telling it like he saw it. He quipped that Denise's concern had to do more with her interest in the free bagels and donuts, which awarded him a menacing look and a smiling snarl from Denise. Tommy loved the relationship he had with these two. He knew they would always set him straight, and for that he allowed a little extra leeway to encourage Michael's special talent of delivering his message. Tommy had to explain that his approach was all part of the new plan. The company's new policies included less time in meetings for junior staff so they would have more time to be productive. The normally energetic group that often laughed and enjoyed friendly banter now began to show concerns for an abrupt change in operating procedures. Tommy assured them that they would work out any kinks quickly, and soon the meeting began to take on the air of friendship and communication once again. During the meeting, members of the team exchanged worried and disappointed glances. Concerns were discussed about how Mr. Mabee chastised members of the staff when they were following operating procedures. Dean, one of Tommy's top directors, declared that he was not happy with the new employment methodologies and wondered if Bart was aware of the way this new arrival treated his staff. Tommy felt the emotions building in the room. He knew it was time for a little pressure relief, so he called on Michael to provide one of his famous and often inappropriate jokes to bring the meeting to a close. As if it were pre-planned, Michael broke into a joke that poked fun at his dear friend Denise, and the whole group laughed. It didn't take long for Tommy to notice that his once helpful directors were helping less and less with the downstream noise. When he discussed this with them, they expressed their frustration. They were all doing all they could to stay afloat, they said, given that Mr. Mabee had instructed them not to work on leadership activities as much and instead work on departmental tasks. The departmental tasks were becoming more than the department leads could keep up with because of the complaining bubbling up from the staff about the lack of organizational direction for the new procedures. After about a month, Tommy's growing concerns that he and his department were coming apart reached the point where he felt compelled to ask for advice. He didn't feel he could ask Bart since he initiated the changes and might think Tommy was resisting them rather than trying to find a way through. Instead, he asked Karen, a longtime friend and colleague, to lunch. He learned she was having similar issues with her departments and had in fact gotten into a shouting match with Mr. Mabee earlier in the day. She shared that she no longer felt like she knew what was expected from her in the new era. Today, she tried to recall the leadership retreat and why they had all believed there was such a need to go in a new direction to begin with. Karen recalled the great story Bart delivered at the retreat about his personal trainer, Jackie. He'd always thought he was doing what he needed at the gym, but once he began working with Jackie, he was miserable for the first few weeks and wanted to get rid of her. She made him do things he didn't like and pushed him into a better diet. A year and a half later, he felt better than ever. He'd lost weight, he was able to stop his blood pressure medications, and was about to run his first half marathon. Maybe Mr. Mabee was just like Jackie. How could we all not want a Jackie in our business life? Deflated, Karen admitted she was becoming more and more fearful of losing her tenure at Sanatost S. Tommy consoled her and realized the same uneasiness had been creeping into the courtyards of his own thoughts.